Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and a finale of our Atlantis Tom McEwen's Mongoose build. Now, I know I only had one update, but this thing went together so nice that I was done before I realized it. So let me get everybody out of the way and we'll go over this kit because there's some things that I want to show everybody. So these guys are busting their tails getting this thing ready for the big race this weekend. Even Daisy came in. Duke's kind of ticked that I didn't give him enough picture time. Lori's here, along with Lee. Even Wayne came in to clean up. Rob came out to cook dinner for us. And Tim is just happy to be here. So let me move the car out of the way first, because I want to talk about these two right off the bat. Because, man, I'll tell you what, they are pretty darn cool. Let me see if I can bring you in here. He, which I've been calling Hear No Evil, was a blast to build. Went together, you can see there's no real huge marks or seam lines or anything. He just fell together nice. I did use about 800 clamps. I'll show that in the picture montage at the end to hold them tight. But he did fit together well. Just painted him up with Tamiya's flesh. Did Tamiya's brown on the top. I started out with XF51 khaki, and I have no idea, but that khaki came out so glossy it wasn't even funny. So I painted over top of that with, I don't even remember what. Oh, XF, here we go. XF49, another khaki. The other one was called khaki drab. So it's not as shiny. It looks shiny because of the light from up above here, but he's not that shiny. Don't forget when you paint him, paint the eyebrows. I used for his eyes, because I don't like using pure white. It gives him a zombie look. I used tapioca folk art for his eyes. This is a perfect color. So if you can find the folk art tapioca, that's perfect color to paint eyes. It's not yellow, so it doesn't look like he's got jaundice or anything, and it's not just that blasting white. I still haven't found a decal for his shirt yet. We'll come up with one. I didn't want to give him a Texaco decal. I wanted to do something different with him, since this is an Atlantis kit, and this is really maybe only the second or third Atlantis kit that I've ever done. I know I built this kit when I was little, but I mean done as, since I got back into the models. I painted his shoes brown, like penny loafers back in the day. And just semi-gloss black for his pants. That worked out real well. It looks good. And then brown belt and a little bit of titanium gold for the buckle. And he was easy. His shirt was just kind of there. So I took my newer panel liner, and I went over, literally just did his shirt in a big wash and let it sit for just a minute or two to dig in, and came back with a Q-tip and wiped all the wash off the top, and that left all those nice shadows in here. So, man, I'm happy with that. I did have to come back up around where the shirt met the flesh all the way around and touch that back up with flesh, because the panel liner darkened that up pretty good on his flesh color. But I'm okay with that. I mean, it was really worth it. And I wish you could see this in natural light, because it's not glossy at all that it's showing like that, and it really shows off the wrinkles and things like that in his shirt. The pants don't show anything. They're just pants. There's not a whole lot of wrinkles in there, and what there are does show up just because of the way the light's hitting them. But that shirt wasn't showing anything. That flat just absorbed it. So the panel liner was almost a must on the flat. But there's that, and he was fun. I like painting people every once in a while. The clock or the chrono tower was really simple to do. It's two pieces. It took a long time to clean all the mold lines off of the bulbs, just so they looked round and they didn't have that seam on them from where the molds come together and it squishes out a little bit. Painted all these with Tamiya's clear orange, clear green, and clear red. I didn't have clear yellow. It's on its way. But what I ended up doing, and I think that looks really good, is I used my, and I got it right here, my gloss Mod Podge after it dried. I put the gloss Mod Podge on there, and that really worked out well. It looks like a bulb now. It almost looks like it's clear. So I'm happy as heck with that. The decals on this kit went down very well. I didn't paint any of the white on this. I think I'm going to come back and paint the bottom part here with flat aluminum. The base I'm going to leave white, but I think I want that post to be flat aluminum, like it's a piece of 3-inch conduit. But other than that, this didn't even get painted. You know, I painted the chrome silver, I painted the clears and the yellow, and then threw the decals on it, and boom, it's done. And it really looks cool. I was going to do lighting on this until I saw how... Let me grab a pointer here. Still haven't found my hand. How thin these were right in here. There was no way I was going to drill that out and not have this piece fall off. So I just opted to paint them with the clear, and I'm good with that. It looks good. It would be cool to be able to like have all those wires run through here and out and back to one of those computer chips and have it actually pre-stage and stage and then run down and then go green, or every once in a while on a random thing throw out a red. That'd just be a blast, but golly. It's not going to happen. Not with this. Maybe someday I'll build my own, but not with this one. So there's those two. And now on to the car. I'm not going to go out yet. I want to show what I did last night with the tips on the two front ones here and the middle one and the back one. I took hot glue and my helping hands and a couple of toothpicks, and I had the toothpicks sticking out straight out this way, and on the end of the toothpicks I put a blob of hot glue and let it drip down, and I made these little pointy pieces coming out that I wanted to use for flame, and then I just painted them with the clear blue, and it looks okay. It's just a little bit of interest. It's the only thing on this that is not straight out of the box other than the paint, you know. But I thought it was fun. It was a neat ad. And then it worked out for me. It's just, you know, a whole lot of fun. I stuck with Mongoose. I was going to make my own Grandpa Mark's Hobbies decals, and I was ready to rock and roll with them, and my printer said, no, you're not. So we went with Tom McEwen, and I figured he just had a different paint scheme for this ring. Everything went down great. I wasn't thinking I was going to use the big Coke on the top here, so I put the V in here with the decal or with the stripe. If I was going to, you know, I was thinking there was a big Coca-Cola and Wayne's for the top. But when I put it on there, the white and the blue really looked poor. So I just dropped the small one that was supposed to go on the front wing, on the back wing. And that's okay. I don't have one on the front, and I'm kind of glad because I like the way that front matches up with that white line going down the center. The blue for the Mongoose, ah man, is that V on the front really cool. And it's kind of, I don't have the decals right in front of me, but on the box, it doesn't even really show it. But there's a yellow stripe that comes down the front here to a point. And I was kind of mimicking that a little bit with this, but I wanted that stripe to start at the glass and work down. And that's just two pieces of Tamiya tape run at an angle. And I measured out the center, actually measure out the center instead of eyeballing it. And it looked really cool. And then when I put the Mongoose on there, it even had this little blue stripe on here that separated the Mongoose from the letters. And that even pretty well matches on there. It's a little bit darker, but it's close enough. I like it. And then all the decals on this thing, my goodness, they went down so easy. Each one of those decals is separate, but you know what? It was okay because I just started from one end and worked my way to the other and kept the gap osises the same and got them pretty darn close on both sides. But they went down real nice, and I was worried that they were going to bleed through real bad with that blue, but I think they look good. I think they look really good. The wing, I wanted the wing to be tilted up a little bit more in the back, but every time I did that, it pushed it out of its mount. The cross member in there was molded to where when you brought it around, it pushed it out. And if I sanded that down any farther than I did, I think it would have made the wings tilt this way on there because it wouldn't have been strong enough in the center to keep them flat. So I left it go at that. I'm happy that I didn't just jack it all up because I had enough little tiny problems with this thing that I didn't need any more. One of them is this cross member for the back fin is about as finicky as it can be to put that thing together. Where's the pointer? This piece right in here is kind of like a pivot, and that goes for the H bracket in the back. And I never did glue that in because I needed that to swivel so that I could line this piece up with the center and get it in the hole down here at the bottom and in the hole at the top, all at the same time with two hands. I really, really needed to grow a hand out of the middle of my chest for this build. Just for that, because that was just frustrating. This comes off. The inside here is really cool. I mean, you got your drive shaft, which there's a little piece in it right here that is a V like this. And there's not enough room between his legs for that little V to drop down into the little tiny holes on either side. So what I had to do is I had to squish it together so that it'll fit in between his legs, and then snip off what I thought was going to be the extra that, you know, as it comes together, it's going to get taller. So I snipped off a little bit on the bottom of that bracket and just kind of dropped it down and glued it straight down into the center. It works. I wanted the figure in there, and I wanted him to lay in there nice, but that thing was not going to go around his legs and drop into those holes. Wasn't going to happen. The other thing is I forgot to put in the brakes, which would have sucked at the end of the run. So what I ended up doing, because there was no way I was going to be able to get that brake into that little lever pin. This thing will actually move back and forth if you build it right. But what I ended up doing was snipping off the bottom part where the pin goes into the little circle hole on the mating part on this, and just pushed it down in between them and glued it to the floor. And it works. It's there. You can see it. It's just not right, and it's going to bug me about it. But there was enough other stuff on here that about drove me crazy, like the fin, that by that time I was like, you know what? Good enough. And then the printer wouldn't work. So things just kind of got to where I was like, I'm about over it. So you can see the fuel lines come up. I got two small ones in the top and the big one in the bottom, and they run back to the back. They have a nice fuel system in the back here where it runs through each one here underneath the intake, or the scoop, and then another set that runs down below where the injectors are, going into the intake manifold. And what I did is I took the whole thing and Sharpied it, because I did not think, and I was right, that my Tamiya paint would have gripped onto this nylon. So I used a Sharpie marker on that thing, and that worked really well. And then I glued the bottom piece on just like it said, glued the top piece on, pushed this into the hole, and then when I ran the hoses down, it kept popping off of this. Oh, geez, oh, Pete, I'm going to snap this thing in half yet. It kept popping off of this little piece right here where that goes on. And after about 20 times trying to get everything to run around there, I grabbed my dental tool and heated it up with a lighter. I held that thing on with a pair of tweezers, took the dental tool and melted that so it riveted it on. Didn't melt a lot, but just enough to where it expanded around that little square hole. And now that thing's on there nice, and that gave it to where I was able to bend these down to go underneath the chassis. So I did that, and the directions say to run them down and underneath and then back up through the hole right in here between his feet. So I had all that run, and then got everything glued up and got this in and got it all pushed together and everything, and realized that there is no way with those hoses that this bottom piece is going to fit in place up tight against the frame. So what I should have done before I put everything together in here is there's three hoses that run back, and then there's a crossbar and then another crossbar on there. And what you should do is get rid of those crossbars. They don't glue to anything, because you're not gluing this vinyl to squat. It's not going to glue. But what those crossbars do is they keep those three hoses separated, and they don't let it go into this notch. So by the time I got everything all said and done, it was too late. And I wasn't able to cut those crossbars, and I just got these sitting right here so I could remember to show you. But I took these hoses and literally snipped them off right here underneath. And I did that because if I didn't, and you know what, this isn't going to cooperate now. It was doing good. If I didn't do that, the three hoses would come up. One would be in the center and then one on either side or whatever. And it pushes this piece off the frame rail. And what that did, and I didn't realize it until after I had this ready, what that did is made it to where this doesn't fit down against the side. So it was either rip everything apart or Hollywood it. And by the time I got to this point, I Hollywooded it. Now, if I ever build this again, because I am going to build another dragster, and I still have some clear, and what I want to do is I want to put just a smidge of clear underneath the center and get these wheels off the ground just maybe 1/8 of an inch. I talked about filling this back piece up with lead, but there wouldn't be enough room in there to get enough lead to lift that front end off the ground. It's just too heavy. With, you know, because you're lifting the entire weight of the car this way. So I'll put a little piece of clear underneath here like this, and then I'll add some cotton to the top and around the back of the tires on both of them. When I finally do figure out, I might do a funny car to go alongside this, and then I'll put it on its own little display. But that I had to go ahead and do, and literally when it's on the display, nobody's going to ever notice that those hoses were cut, and it'll be fine. So there's that. I was also asked about this front end, and the directions really don't do a whole lot to tell you how the cross member goes on for the steering linkage at all. what you have to do here, what you got to do, glue your front axle on, which is no problem, and it glues on nice, where you just a little bit of super glue, set it down, and it'll hold in place there until it's dry. And then you can go in and put these two pieces in, your supports, and once those are on, I figured out, once you get those on, take this cross member for your steering linkage and come from this way, bring it all the way up, and glue it on the 2 points. I only glued it on this side. This side's loose because it fit on there so nice. And I would recommend doing that. Just glue it on the one side. You can come back and glue this side if you want, if you think you need to, but don't do it right away. Get all that on there, get everything in set, and then when you put your steering arm in, it will tuck in underneath your linkage right here. So this piece lifts up out of the way. This will drop down in the hole. You can put just a little drop of glue in the little receiver down here. Put that in. It'll drop in place. This will fall into place. How about if I get my hand out of the way? Drop this in place. Then this will fall on top of it where it's supposed to be. And then this will drop down on top of there. And then if you want, you can lift that up and put a little drop of glue right in here and be fine. It doesn't really need it, so I left it alone. Give a little flex so something's not going to bend on me if I do bang it like I have been, because this is such a weird long car. But there is that. This little piece on the front, this little nose piece, I just pushed it in. It fits so tight, there's no glue on that. Mod Podge to hold on the glass. It went on nice. I knocked it off twice. Once because I dropped it on the floor, and the second time because I dropped it on the floor. But then it came for the decals, and I think getting the decals on took me maybe an hour and 3 trips over to the deep sink to get more hot water. But really, the hotter the water, the nicer they pulled off. And there we go. That's back on there. The nicer they came off and the easier they were to lay on there. And these decals were nice. I was able to take my tweezers and move them around and get them exactly where I wanted them. And then just kind of take a Q-tip and paper towel and work that water out. And done. They dropped down so nice. And even on this blue, they stand out well. So it's not like they just disappeared. The wheels, I'm going to just pick it up instead of trying to bring it down. I talked about it before. I love the rims. They're awesome on here. The transmission's awesome. I was trying to keep it box stock, so I didn't even run the wire for the parachute. And then I changed it from adding the flames. If I ever do take this to a show, it's going to go as box stock. I got the directions and everything, and these are just sitting in here. I'll just pop those out and take it in, and we'll leave it like that. Not sure if I'll ever take this one to a show or not, because this was a whole lot of learning going on. The next one I probably will. And I do want to build another one of these. The Atlantis kit, Atlantis people, if you're watching, this is awesome kit. If you want to send me a couple other ones to try out, I would love that. But no, seriously, this, other than a couple of tiny things that were because I got Snicker bar hands and I didn't, you know, I had to struggle a little bit with the tweezers and not having enough small fingers to get in there, because I know if my fingers were smaller, I could get in there and put that together no problem. I would have held it in the center here and then got it into this bottom piece. But with my fingers and the tweezers, I had to get the bottom piece in, use another piece of tweezers and pull it back and get it to line up, while this piece was here flopping around. And I had to leave that flop around because I had to line everything up to the holes that were underneath. But, I mean, no problems. I love how this comes apart. The figure inside is awesome. I love that aluminum asbestos suit. The decal on his helmet, Laid down pretty good. I used just a tiniest bit of microsol on that one, and it laid out great. So I don't have a whole lot of pictures, so it's not going to be a long music video, but I do have some build pictures going on here that I'll show you if you want to stick around. But I want to thank everybody for all the kind words and the comments and everything, and the help, especially help with, like, they do have Tamiya Clear Yellow. I ordered it. On a couple other things and hints and saying the haze and what do you do? Yeah, you can't paint these. Sharpie marker worked great. I even used the Sharpie Gold on the fittings for the where they hoses went together. Sharpie stays on there. You can rub your finger on it and it's pretty much stays on. So that's the way to go with that one. The distributor, I just left black, and it went on like a dream. You do exactly what the directions say, run it underneath that pulley and the little arm over here, start from the long end and work your way to the short end. And it took me maybe 2 minutes to do the wiring for the distributor. So with that, I'll let you go. I'll throw on, I think I only have a dozen or so pictures of this because it went so fast, but I'll throw them on so everybody can watch them. You all have a great day and a better tomorrow. And again, thank you very much for watching.